next few minutes. Hopefully this will start to diminish, but as we've also mentioned, the fuel for these tornadic storms has been there honestly since yesterday. I mean, if we're being real honest about it. And that was without the addition of the energy going along with Beryl. And this is what this is all about. This is Beryl's storm, if you will. And it has produced so much in the way of tornadoes over the last 24, almost 48 hours. We have had deaths reported in Louisiana because of this exact same system, Texas, Arkansas. I haven't looked at Kentucky, but I know for sure last night that they had their fair share of storms out of Kentucky, and it's all along this, as we call it, the dirty side of Beryl. And I always have to kind of explain this. If you were to take a cylindrical a circle that is a hurricane, slice it up into 4 parts. This northeastern quadrant is known as the dirty side, or like the upper right side, if you will. And this is what we're seeing with this particular storm, a lot of instability with it.
Right. So again, if you're just now joining us, just going to highlight again our hazards. We do still have that tornado warning for Central to Bend heading northeast. It's going to be expiring at 3:30, so we do still have about a little over 20 minutes for that one. And then we also have this tornado warning for just northern Tioga County. It's quite on the small side. Again, it is heading northeast, so it could move. It's already looks like this storm is starting to move into Steuben, and it hasn't been tornado warned. So that's good news, because it may mean that it may no longer need a warning. But as far as our warned storm in Steuben County, we do still have that one in place, and that one again goes until 3:30. So if you're in one of these warned areas, warned storms, make sure you are taking shelter immediately. Make sure you are on the first floor of a sturdy building, or the basement level if you can as well. Put as many walls as you can between you. Get away from any of those windows. You don't want to be near any of those. Seek shelter immediately. Let a friend or a neighbor know to seek shelter immediately as well. And make sure that you can hear the volume on the TV as well if you're tuning in. Obviously, if the TV is not close to your safe space, make sure you have a device so that you know if those warnings have been extended or are expiring. But this is right now what our current situation is. Again, we have 2 tornado warnings across the region. We have a Tioga County tornado warning that expires at 3:15, and a tornado warning for Steuben County that expires at 3:30. And again, with this tornado warning in Steuben County, in Steuben County, it does look like this one is also radar indicated. This one will be it is moving at, looks like 35 miles per hour. So I'm just going to pull out to where our storm is. This looks like a smaller storm right here, 35 miles per hour. So at 35 miles per hour, that includes areas such as West Cameron right now. It includes North Cameron in about 5-6 minutes. Bonnie Hill in about 10 minutes, North Thurston in about 14-15 minutes, Savona in about 20 minutes.
Yeah, and so the other concern obviously is going to be that large size hail, or medium to large size hail. Quarter size hail obviously can do damage to a roof, can do damage to awnings. It can also do damage to your head. If you've ever been caught in a hailstorm, it is not cool, you guys. So that's why you should never, ever, ever stand underneath a tree. Sure, it seems like a good idea at the time until the branch comes falling down on your head, because the hailstones in and of themselves can be coming down at over 40 miles per hour. So if you have a hailstone the size of a quarter and it is solid ice coming down, you're talking about leaves, you're talking about branches, glass awnings maybe in a bigger city, or cloth awnings anywhere else that you are. Don't stand under anything like that. Make sure during tornado warnings that you are putting as much space I should say walls between you and the outside. That is so important. Sometimes people will or maybe work in a garage, for example. I've had this happen to me in Denver once. They thought they were doing the right thing. They're on the lowest floor, but they were in a garage. The problem is that when the winds come through, they will blow everything around, and there's nothing at all to protect you at that point. So if you have any outdoor camps, any outdoor activities that are going on right about now, it looks like Corning and Elmira are now under a severe thunderstorm warning.
Yeah, so that's that storm in Tioga County. I'm just putting, labels on everything. So that storm that we were looking at in Tioga, as it continues towards into Steuben County, it does look like they went ahead and did a severe thunderstorm warning. Just looking at velocity right now, again, as we said, we're just at the tip of that arrow. Velocity is not quite as tight. It's not quite as clear. So they went ahead and they issued that severe thunderstorm warning. And again, with those severe thunderstorm warnings, although it's not rotation, you still want to make sure that you're being safe, because straight line damaging winds are equally something to be concerned about. And so that severe thunderstorm warning is for Chemung County and for Steuben County. It goes until 4 p.m. and it does include it does include hazards, including, if you could just pull up the hazards real fast. Just taking a look as that warning comes in. And it does look like the severe thunderstorm warning in northern Steuben just got canceled.
Okay, so until 4 o'clock p.m., a severe thunderstorm is located over Elkland, which is about 17 miles away from Wellsboro. And let's see, so that does include Chemung. Winds are at 60 miles per hour. That is a pretty good clip at that point. So we are looking at, let me try to get rid of that right there.
And that's your wind gusts. We have 60 mile per hour wind gusts. The storm itself is moving northeast at 35 miles per hour. And again, highlighting the chance for mainly wind damage right now. We don't have anything on specifically hail, but there was hail within this system earlier. Oh, I got you, see. Okay, so this severe thunderstorm warning did have a maximum hail size of under an inch, just 3/4 of an inch. Mm-hmm. So again, make sure you're taking shelter immediately if you're in one of these areas. I'm just going to continue, just since we do still have our tornado warning for Tioga. It does expire in about, I believe, a minute, so we're going to see what they do. It likely will remain as a severe thunderstorm warning. I'm going to come back up into Steuben County heading towards Schuyler. This one does go until 3:30, so going to pull up that label again one more time. Yep, so there goes our tornado warning. And we are going to be looking at, let's pull up those hazards one more time. We are looking at gusty winds. The storm is moving northeast at 35 miles per hour. It's radar indicated. And we are looking at a chance for hail at, again, 3/4 of an inch. So seek shelter now if you're in the storm. It is moving just out of camera now. But it is heading, looks like, just towards in between Bath and Campbell, especially if you're on I-86, along I-86, if you know anyone traveling through I-86, especially traveling west, because this storm is heading northeast, and with west kind of being more so northwest. Make sure you're taking shelter immediately. This is right now the northernmost part of this warned storm. Does have quite a bit of lightning associated with it as well. Mm-hmm. So just as Rhonda said, if you happen to be outside, seek shelter immediately. You're not safe under a tree, under tall objects. Lightning is attracted to those tall objects, so you don't want to be near that.
And also, if you are on the ground, you are the tall object. Sometimes you kind of have to keep that in mind. Now, what we have for our severe thunderstorm warning, we are looking at until 4 o'clock p.m. So for the next 45 minutes, this is for southwestern Chemung County in central New York and for Steuben County until 4. We do have a severe thunderstorm that was located over Elkland, or about 17 miles away from Wellsboro. 60-mile-per-hour winds are the biggest threat with this. And again, this does include the city of Elmira. This does include Big Flats as well. And it also includes Corning, Lindley, Painted Post, Horseheads, and Addison. So this bears watching for one reason, or two reasons. One, it was tornadically warned earlier. However, it has luckily started to kind of dwindle just a little bit. At least part of this was. And what are you saying?
It does look like we did just get a
Tornado signature?
No, rather we just got a local storm report.
Oh,
so
train
I'm just
spotter.
gonna pull this up real fast. This is from a train spotter. So we did have a funnel cloud spotted in Sonora, New York. So again, we're not out of the clear yet. This doesn't expire till 3:30, and this has now been spotted. It was a funnel cloud. It did not touch the ground. It was radar indicated for the majority of the storm, but now we have a train spotter who had spotted a funnel cloud.
And also, just because we have just a severe thunderstorm warning, I don't want to say just a severe thunderstorm warning, this could turn into something tornadic. It's in the right environment for that. So if you are in Southport, Corning, Horseheads, Elmira Heights, Elmira proper, Painted Post, Addison, you need to remain on alert for the potential of a tornado, even though it's not a warned storm at this point. If you spot a tornado, go immediately to the lowest portion of your house or wherever structure that you are in. That is going to potentially save your life. So this is a severe thunderstorm warning that does now include Elmira and vicinity until 4:00 p.m. And again, it is a severe thunderstorm warning, but it could turn tornadic at any time. Just take your precautions. Do it now. Now is your window of opportunity.
Yeah, and it does, again, while we do still have this tornado warning for Steuben County, this does expire in just a little under 15 minutes. So go on ahead and stay indoors regardless. Please do not think that just because it's only got 15 more minutes, it's safe to be indoors. If you remember, we always say when thunder roars, head indoors. Well, especially after your last rumble of thunder, you still want to remain indoors for another 30 minutes. So even with this warning starting to expire within the next 11 minutes, I still want to see you guys staying inside. Please make sure you're continuing to seek shelter. And again, that is for our tornado warning that goes until 3:30, and that's for Steuben County.
Alrighty, so to recap, we do have a very serious, severe threat for the rest of our day. Basically almost the entire state of New York, with the exception of the Hudson Valley, is under a tornado watch until 9:00 p.m. We have a tornado warning for Steuben County until 3:30. We have a severe thunderstorm warning until 4:00 p.m. And we have the threat of a lot of wind, large hail, and of course, a storm could turn tornadic at any moment, so we are continuing to watch that. So far, the max size for the hail out of Addison and including Elmira and crossing that line has been about 3/4 of an inch. So smaller than a 1/4 inch hail, but nevertheless, hail nevertheless. And then we still have those max winds gusting to about 60 miles per hour as well. And we are still hoping that we will be able to allow the tornado warning for Steuben to diminish within the next 10 minutes. It is 3:20 p.m. right now, so we have exactly 10 minutes left on that warning. That does include Bath. And there is a little bit of rotation within that storm coming, and that is a severe thunderstorm. That is not warned at this point, but as we've been saying, it could become warned at any moment.
Yeah, it was warned while it was still in Tioga, and it was heading northeast into Steuben County. And so, again, this rotation is not the most favorable for tornadic development, but it's still rotation, so we're going to keep our eyes peeled. But of course, again, we do still have our tornado warning for Steuben County, heading northeast towards Bath, heading towards Schuyler County. So just stay alert, stay weather aware, of course. Make sure you're seeking shelter. Again, if you're just now joining us, we do still have that tornado warning in effect.
And also as an update, the severe thunderstorm warning for north central Steuben is canceled. So that's some good news. It really is. The tornado watch, however, does still remain in effect until 9:00 p.m. for basically the entire state of New York, and then also moving into Vermont and into Pennsylvania, well into Pennsylvania. And it looks, you know what? I didn't even think about the rest of the region.
The region, yeah.
Washington, D.C. has that severe thunderstorm watch box down through Virginia. I mean, this is all having to do with Beryl. The winds and the instability with this particular storm has just been absolutely epic.
Right, and the remnants of Beryl, or rather, while it was traveling through the rest of the nation, it was still that tropical depression. But it did cause a tornadic outbreak for Louisiana, up into Arkansas, eastern Texas. We even saw, I believe, 4 confirmed tornadoes between Kentucky and Illinois as well.
Right.
So we've been planning for this, right? We've been keeping an eye on it because we knew, especially with all the moisture, the humidity, that it was very likely that we would see some very damaging wind concerns, including the concern for some tornadic activity.
Including that funnel cloud, which was about 3 miles west-northwest of Sonora. It was spotted by a trained spotter at approximately 3:10 p.m. So this is serious. I mean, we were talking earlier about how it was not necessarily spotted by anybody, but it turns out it was. It was radar indicated, at least from our point of view. But it turns out that rotation that we have been harping on, it feels like, for the last several hours, it did pan out. So with that advent of the funnel cloud, do be aware if you're in Bonnie Hill, within the next few minutes or so, that cell that we are talking about could make its way to you, including Orange in Schuyler County. And let's see what else we have here. Oh, and Bradford within the next 20 minutes as well. Hopefully this will start to peter out just a little bit as we get some cooler air coming in. Let's see, that is not for us as well, so this is actually good news for us. But if there is any kind of good news with these kind of systems, is that as they continue to rake across the landscape, you do work over the atmosphere, and so you do lose some of that volatility. And since we've been doing this now for several hours, we will start to see conditions improve. Also, Beryl in and of itself, and I remember I emailed Olivia earlier saying that one talking point that we've had is that this storm has raced across the country. And the reason that is because it doesn't have the ocean to fuel it. So if there is any good news, is that this thing has, when you think about it, it has gone all the way from Texas to Canada in less than 48 hours. So once we get through this, our conditions are going to vastly improve, but it's going to take a few hours, obviously. But at this point, we are kind of ticking down the minutes for this tornado warning to expire. Within the next 6 minutes, if it doesn't get extended, we do expect for the tornado warning for Steuben County to expire. In the meantime, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to take a look at velocity so we can see essentially the likelihood. Again, Chief Meteorologist Rhonda Lee, so intelligent, used the word volatility. Essentially, that's talking about the direction of the winds, right? So when we talk about rotation, we talk about obviously rotating winds. We look at velocity to see the direction to and from that radar. Those winds are going in the different levels of the atmosphere. And so normally we're looking for strong presence of green next to strong presence of red when it comes to very strong signs of rotation, or rather strong gusty winds. And as you can see, this is where we saw that warning, just pulling that up real quick in our last few minutes. So this is where our warning is. And then here's the velocity, not looking at much of that rotation anymore. So
Which
that's
is huge.
Great news.
That is huge.
Great news.
Yeah, so at 3:10, just to reiterate, there was a funnel cloud sighted about 3 miles west-northwest of Sonora in Steuben County. And we officially have about 4 more minutes left on this warning, and that does include Camp Bell, that includes Bath, that includes Cameron as well. Right on the Schuyler County line is where this polygon ends. And then on top of that, there is still the severe thunderstorm warning for the area that you see there in orange. That includes Addison, Corning, that includes Big Flats, it includes Southport, it includes Elmira, the city of Elmira, and Horseheads as well, until 4 o'clock p.m. So we have another 34 minutes left on that one. And the concern with that, of course, is going to be the hail. It's going to be the wind. It is the potential that there could be an embedded small tornado in there. It's not warned. I do want to force that on us at this point. At this juncture, it is not warned, but it could become warned. So just be prepared for that change should it happen.
Right, and also the storm is currently moving towards Addison, and it's also moving towards the Corning area a bit as well. But more notably, it's moving towards that I-85. Also partially to I-99 heading north, but it's also heading towards I-85, I-86 heading west. So if you're trying to be on I-86, if you know anyone who lives around I-86, please make sure you're seeking shelter immediately, because again, this is a severe thunderstorm warning, which has that risk of straight line damaging winds. Now, just coming back to our tornado warning again, we do have about 3 more minutes on it. And again, Skylands to Bend County do share a warning office. So right now, as it looks, it doesn't look like it might be extended, which is great news. We're going to hope that it stays that way.
Right.
But again, I've pointed this out before, where you see that quick change from, I'm going to just highlight it real fast, where you see this quick change from red, that dark red, to light green. That's where you're going to likely see the most straight line damaging winds, or rather just damaging winds in general.
Well, yeah, that and the fact that it's moving at 30 plus miles per hour.
Right.
What's pushing it? Wind.
Right.
So that's and that also can contribute to large hailstones as well, because you keep those hailstones in the cloud longer. The wind keeps it up there, and then eventually it gets weighted and it does come on down. So that cell over towards Corning, that's a lot of hail southwest of Corning and north west of what was
Southland.
that? Yeah, that is quite a lot of hail moving towards Corning at this point. So I would just be on the lookout for large hail over Addison right now, over Rathbone as well. And I would definitely say Corning, be on the lookout for the potential for some stronger to severe storms still heading your way. I'm not seeing anything new being issued. It almost feels like New Year's Eve. 3, 2, 1. We are in the final minute of this tornado warning for parts of Steuben County.
But I do again just want to emphasize one more time: if you were under that warned area, please make sure to stay inside for at least another 30 minutes, just in case. Obviously, right now it doesn't look like there's anything. Any cells currently behind that storm that was tornado warned. But again, our tornado watch goes until 9 p.m. And this is all thanks to that remnants of Beryl. And so we're going to continue to look at the concern for some tornadic activity into about 5, 6, 7 p.m.
All right. And so for our folks in the booth, we are not dealing with any more tornadic activity. So what I want to do now is go ahead and return us to regular programming, and we will definitely monitor this situation. If we need to cut in, just be aware we will cut in.
Yes, and make sure